Hello Internet, since we have 58mm f/0.95 NOCT in our possession, we decided to compare it with 50 f1.2 S lens and tell you what we think about them.
It's not every day we get to compare two stunning lenses like this. Both come at a serious premium, both actually have slightly different purposes, but it'll be really interesting, I think, to see how they pair up at similar apertures and really whether or not you can afford the extra £6,000 to buy this one.
Absolutely, and by popular demand we also will compare it to 40mm f2 pancake lens. We won't.
We won't be doing that.
Okay, let's talk about size, weight, and technical specifications. In terms of size, you can see they're quite comparable, while this one is being a little bit wider overall. However, the lens filter is actually the same, 82mm inside.
It is, although this has an internal thread and an external thread for the hood. This is an internal thread and then a bayonet style hood, which just clicks on. It's one of the plasticky ones. Other things to bear in mind, the 58mm has 17 elements in 10 groups, while the 51.2 is 17 elements in 15 groups, which is slightly unusual. Both have aspherical elements.
So it's got 3 aspherical elements in both of them, but 4 ED glass elements in 58mm lens and only 2 in 51.2. Now, they both have Arneo and Nano S coating in the elements as well. In terms of diaphragm blades, 58 has 11 diaphragm blades versus 9 in 50mm f1.2.
And then when you look at the weight, we've got pretty much exactly 2 kilos in this one, and we've got 1.1 kilos in this one. So there is a weight difference, which is very noticeable when you pick them up side by side.
Yeah, so another thing to compare is the closest focusing distance. And in terms of this, 58 closes at exactly half a meter, while 50 is just a little bit closer at 45 centimeters. Now, lens hoods. The 51.2 comes with a standard petal shape bayonet lens hood, which is very light, but at the same time makes the lens a lot bigger compared to 58mm lens.
However, this one, proper metal lens hood, takes about half a century to screw in.
Yeah, but it is a little bit shorter. So in terms of size, I would say this one looks a little bit longer, but actually 58 looks a little bit bulkier.
Now we're out in the field with the 51.2 and the 58mm NOCT. We're going to compare what they're like. God, this is heavy already.
Exactly. Is it worth spending £8,000 on something like this? Or you can just spend 2.3k on something like this.
Bargain.
So Bex, what's your opinion so far?
It's heavy. It's definitely not a lens I would walk around with all day. The 51.2 is going to feel so light in comparison to this one. But it is beautiful. I can really understand why you would use it for video work as well, because just being able to pull focus that much and with that depth of field looks absolutely stunning visually. But it is the kind of lens that you sort of need a tripod for. I'm having some success with it because you get the green confirmation through the viewfinder, so you know you're in focus, but it is a bit of a challenge.
The beauty of 51.2, a part of the sharpness and all the bokeh and all the yada yada, autofocus saves time. Repeat after me. Autofocus saves time. You press the button once, it locks the focus. Now, 58 is beautiful, but doing this, after this, just to nail it, and then rely on manual focus confirmation, that requires patience, and that's just not me.
Patience is just not me, your new slogan.
Was it ducks are not geezers or something? Okay, so the lens flares heavily, that's for sure. 51.2 doesn't do that much. But another thing I've noticed is there's definitely a shift in depth of field as soon as I go from 0.95 to 1.2. So I have to refocus all the time when I do that. Look, the pictures from this lens are not going to be perfect because manual focus, it's very difficult to focus obviously at 0.95, but the rendering is so dreamy. It's amazing. It's something that 51.2 is not going to give you, but the 51.2 is going to give you the sharpness. Now, which one is which? That is the question. All right, conclusion time. Shall we rank them?
Let's do that. So in terms of size, they're a very similar size, but in terms of weight, this one is so heavy that it's a little bit too cumbersome for a kind of day-to-day lens.
Yeah, you can have two of those for the weight of this.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about image quality. So, first of all, the overall sharpness.
Overall sharpness, it's interesting because the 58 is actually sharper at those smaller apertures like 1.1, 1.2, etc. Then the 51.2 is wide open. But nailing focus at 0.95 is so difficult that when you get it, it's amazing. When you don't get it, it's not.
That's true. And then the character as well, I would say this one has its own special character, and that's something that you don't get much with modern lenses. Now, in terms of rendering for this one, it's very modern, I would say.
It's a modern rendering. It is lovely. This is a lens that I will use as a kind of go-to for events. If you're a wedding photographer, the 51.2 is ideal because you can autofocus with it and you get sharp shots, particularly if you're shooting at slightly smaller apertures.
Bokeh?
Bokeh, they both have lovely character. I'd say this one slightly tops it for the obvious reasons, but they're both very, very good.
Yeah. You mentioned the convenience factor, and the convenience factor of 51.2 can't be underestimated. Having autofocus on a lens like this, even maybe is not as sharp as let's say as 58 0.95, they're still more convenient to use because you just press the button, it is there. And for wedding photographers, especially photographing in very low light, this is a lifesaver and it's also a money maker.
Absolutely. Last of all, price. Well, yes, the 51.2 wins in price because this one is $8,500. This is about $2,500. Both are going to burn a big hole in your pocket either way. But if you don't have £8,500 to spend, overall the 51.2 is the more practical choice. If you're going heart over head, however, and you do have £8,500 to invest in a lens, then obviously the NOCT is a beautiful lens.
As we said in our review of 58mm, we say, if you can't afford one, and basically 99% of all of us can't afford it, at least treat yourself and hire one for a weekend. You owe yourself to try it just to see how special it is.
There you go. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a like and a subscribe.
If you'd like us to do more videos like this, do let us know in the comments below.
That's right. And if you found it super useful, there's super thanks as well.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.